Recently, my children and I did a study on bees and butterflies. And when I mean a study, I mean once a week during our morning time, I read them a book, and then we drew a little bit in a little notebook. So I just wanted to share some of the resources I used for that, and because we had a really great time. So first is Nature Anatomy. Now, I love this book. It has all sorts of information about the natural world and beautiful pictures. We used it for, this one's bee, and this tab is still here from the butterfly, but I know we'll get lots of use out of it in the future. So we actually used it after I would read the other books. I used it, I think, more than the kids did, but I copied some of the pictures out of it for my little notebook, and they were also welcome to look at it, and they did look at it, but I don't think they copied so much. So that's Nature Anatomy. It's fantastic. So first, some of the bee books we read, because we did a couple on bees a few weeks in a row, and then we switched to butterflies. So the Bumblebee Queen, I just found this at my local library, and I thought it was fantastic. It's told from the perspective of a bumblebee queen, and I honestly didn't know about all the different kinds of bees and their differences. But it's told as a story from, talking about her. I was going to say from her point of view, but it's in third person. And so there's the story, and then there's little facts as well. And my daughter asked me to read this several times. So. We also read Flight of the Honeybee, which is another one in story format. I think these definitely count as what you would call a living book. Charlotte Mason would call a living book, in that it's a story. It's not just a dry set of facts, but you're still learning a lot. And like the Bumblebee Queen, it has the story here, and then it has some extra facts that you can choose to add or not. My daughter, she loves hearing the extra facts, especially in books about animals. So we also enjoyed Flight of the Honeybee. And then this one isn't really a story so much. They're separate pages, and this one I used more as a reference as well. We didn't read through the whole book, but I really enjoyed what we did read, and we would just read, if she was interested, we'd maybe read a page after we read one of the other stories. So it has beautiful pictures again, and a little more detail. So we skipped around a bit. We didn't read every page, but we read some, and I also used this for some of my drawings in my little book. So that is The Life and Times of a Honeybee. And that seems to be it for bees, so I'm now going to move on to what we have for butterflies. So I also have several books for butterflies. This one is Summer Birds, and this was in my morning time basket that the Spring 2017 morning time basket video that I made. And yeah, it was just as good as I was hoping it would be. My daughter's asked to read it since then as well. And it is actually about a girl living in medieval times who observed insects and discovered that they metamorphized. I don't know what that verb is. But that they didn't just come from mud, which was the common belief at the time. So it's, not only about butterflies, but about a young girl observing nature and learning about it and helping the world learn about it. So that's pretty cool. So another book is Butterflies in the Garden, and I liked it not as much as some of the others that have more of a story to them. This does talk about what the butterflies do, but it's more just information. But it's kind of nice because it talks about the different kinds of butterflies a little bit, and it also talks about what flowers you can plant in your yard to attract butterflies. So we talked about that, and then we talked about what plants we might have and what plants we might want to grow in the future. So we used it that way. I wouldn't necessarily call this a living book, though, but I try to do mostly living books. Some of them end up not being as much, and you know what, my children are okay with that. So this is Butterflies in the Garden. Here is another butterfly book. This is A Butterfly is Patient. There's a whole series by Diana Hunts Aston and Sylvia Long that are gorgeous, and they have a ton of information. This is obviously about butterflies. We have one that's about birds' eggs hatching. Well, I think it's just about eggs in general, not just birds' eggs, but eggs. They have stones. I think they have one or two others, but I can't remember what they are at this moment. I'm really on the fence as to whether or not this is considered a living book, so those of you with more experience can let me know. It's not really in story form. You could just read the big, like with little ones, you could just read the big words. A butterfly is patient. A butterfly is creative. But it's really great for, it has lots of information, but really even just for the pictures. Yeah, but of course my daughter loves learning all the different information. And aren't those so cool? Those are a type of butterfly, and we saw them. So this is A Butterfly is Patient, and I really like this in the series. I think this is more popular among my Montessori peers, probably, than Charlotte Mason, but I think anybody could enjoy it. Now, unlike A Butterfly is Patient, the story of the butterfly children, I don't think would be considered a Montessori-approved book, because it is kind of in the realm of fantasy. But within that, you also do learn a lot about butterflies, and I think it's a really sweet little story. It talks about the butterfly children and, you know, their little chrysalids or caterpillars. They're the caterpillars. The babies are the caterpillars, and the chrysalids are learning, and then they're going to earn their wings to fly away, and the sunbeams come and bring them their wings on the first day of spring. And it's just a really sweet story. It's older, by Sybil von Offer. She's done a couple of these, the story of, we also have her story of the Snow Children. I think these are more popular among Waldorf schools and families. Again, we have such a mix of things between Waldorf and Montessori, and Charlotte Mason Living Books, even though they're a little young for formal Charlotte Mason studies. But this is another great one for butterflies, for those of you who like this style. Okay, so my daughter wanted to come join us and talk a little bit about her favorite butterfly book. What book is this?
I can't read this.
It's Caterpillars and Butterflies, and it's an Usborne beginner's book. What do you like about it?
That it has butterflies.
That it has butterflies? Yeah, this is another good, more of a reference book than a story. Well, let's show them the inside, right? More of a reference book than a story there.
Well, actually, you're skipping pages.
Oh, I'm skipping pages. Yes.
First page.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. So, Caterpillars and Butterflies by Usborne. The last thing I have is actually not a book, but it's an activity we did. And that is, I got the Insect Lore Butterfly Garden. And this is the box with the net in it. And we're going to save this and do it again next year. What you actually can do is you then order your cup of caterpillars when you are ready. So we got a cup of caterpillars, we got 5 caterpillars, and we watched them eat and grow bigger and turn into chrysalids in the cup, and then we transferred them to the garden, and we fed them for a few days, and then when they emerged, and then we watched them fly away, and it was super fun. For more information, I'm sure other people have, I know other people have videos and such on this, because I watched some when I was debating whether to buy this, but this I think is a great investment. The other thing we actually did, I don't have an object for, because it was to visit a local garden that has a butterfly exhibit every summer in their conservatory. So they, you walk in, it costs a few dollars, but you walk in and they have an area with caterpillars growing on leaves, and then you walk into the big conservatory and there's just butterflies everywhere. It was really, really fun. They do warn you, like, watch the ground, and we saw several on the ground, so I'm glad they had told us that. My son found them all, was just, like, squatted down and stared at them, and we saw some of them eating. They have, like, rotten fruit out in plates, and as well as tons of flowers. But my daughter noticed the proboscis, and somebody correct me if I'm saying that wrong, but I think it's proboscis, the kind of long tube that they eat with that kind of rolls up and rolls out when they eat. And that was so cool to see, and especially after we've been reading all the books about them, and it was a proud moment for me that she recognized that was the proboscis. So that was really fun as well. For bees, we didn't go anywhere or do an activity per se, but we have bees that are we see in our backyard near our flowers, and we also just tasted a little bit of the honey that we had. And I hope some of these resources will add something to your family.